Welcome to KeethTalks episode 4. In this episode, I hopped on the call with my good friend Johnson. Johnson is a real estate agent, he's a real estate investor, he's used the BRRRR method before, he's done midterm rentals, he's a helper, and the list just goes on and on and on. I know for a fact you will definitely get a lot of value in the conversation that I had with him on this episode. If you guys want to hit him up, I will leave his social media links in the description below. Enjoy the episode, guys. Hey everyone, today I got my good friend Johnson on, finally, a Zoom call with me today. Thank you so much for coming on to my podcast, man. I really appreciate it. How are you doing today, man?
You know what? Doing really, really good. I just told you I've been having a lot of conversations today.
Yeah.
Getting a lot of calls from Sub-2 students and new students, stuff like that. So any conversation is good conversation. So yeah, definitely having a really good day today.
Yeah, honestly, you're like one of the biggest helps I've ever had in the entire community. You're always, on the deal. You see deals before I do. It's so helpful. But yeah, man. So I wanted to ask, tell me about how you got started. What were you doing before you started your real estate journey, and then what made you get into real estate?
Yeah, so basically, I'm really new in real estate. I've always been studying about real estate. My parents actually have a few rental incomes, but I never really thought too much into it. In all honesty, I used to be the guy that used to go out to Vegas and spend my money there, so I was pretty reckless in terms of how I spent my money. But I grew up, started a family, and was like, you know what, gotta really be a lot more responsible and find ways to put my kids through education and find a way for them to build wealth so they could survive later on. Because, man, I don't know how some of the next generation is going to be able to pay rent with how things are moving, So I was like, how do I do this without getting a second, third job, So I thought real estate. My parents did it. And you know what? Even though I bought it, I was like, let's get into it. So I ended up getting onto Bigger Pockets, started reading a lot of books, and started educating myself. I actually got into a mentorship, different mentorship outside of Sub-2 before this.
Yeah.
And she was basically someone that came over from Africa, and within 2-3 years was grossing about 100,000 a month. So I was like, oh, how does somebody in 2-3 years build their portfolio that much? She told me her very first trip to America, within the first week, she met President Obama. I was like, this is crazy, So got to work one-on-one with her, and then ended up getting a BRRRR, out around the Atlanta Metroplex. One had its own challenges, so learn real quick that it's not always going to be perfect. You're going to deal with contractors, HOA, and throw you a bunch of curveballs.
Yeah. What kind of BRRRR was it?
So
I'm just curious. Yeah.
It was one where the roof was caved in. There was mold, completely a complete disaster.
Oh, man.
And
okay, full gut.
Yeah, almost a full gut. It was mainly kept to the kitchen and the dining room, but we end up getting it for real cheap. I believe it was a 3-2 1,700 square foot. I got it for about 60,000.
That's good.
We put in another 50,000. So ARV turned out to be about 150. So it worked out pretty well,
Yeah.
Put in a Section 8 tenant, so it's making some cash flow, but it definitely was a learning experience dealing with an HOA because at one point my sewage line for the complex actually bursted, and we literally had sewage water in 3 of our complexes, and the HOA in turn didn't say, hey, you know what, this is the main line, this is our issue. They literally pitted all the tenants against each other.
Really?
Yeah, they blamed all of us against each other. So we were having a hard time just talking to the HOA. The HOA president came out and basically cursed out all the tenants. So yeah, it was a very hostile time, but we got past that.
Jeez. Okay.
And we were able to, like I said, get a Section 8 tenant in, and
Mm-hmm.
are so good, can't complain about that. Um, my next investment was a triplex out in Ohio, and that one I just saw potential because um, I bought it standard 25% down conventional loan.
Okay.
I cash flowed $1,000 right off the bat because it was across the university and it was actually a student housing. So can't complain.
Yeah.
I was getting 20% cash on cash right off the bat. You
That's
know,
really good. Yeah.
uh, so once that happened, I was like, you know what? That's not my main goal. I don't want to just cash flow $1,000. So
Hmm.
once these guys are done with their school year, I do plan on renovating, and I am gonna put in midterm rentals. So
Nice.
the reason why I got it is because I literally walk across the street and it's a hospital, Trauma One Hospital. You
Okay,
know,
so it's better. Yeah, better to do that than a student rental because of the
correct,
distance. Yeah, location is
correct.
key. So.
Yeah, especially since they could literally walk to the hospital, So I knew that that was gonna be my play. I was willing to put down 25% and wait for that opportunity
Hmm.
to cash flow for the midterm. So that was my second one, and then my third property just so happened to be my homestead now, which is a sub two.
Yeah,
You know,
so that was your first stop too, right? Your homestead.
yeah. Yep. My
Nice.
step two was 4 months ago. And basically, the seller was in a situation where he bought it during the peak of COVID, 375
Oh,
rate, got it first new build subdivision, and got in at peak price, right? Peak price,
yeah.
peak interest. And then long and behold, there was some pain. He had to move because of work, and he couldn't sell because the subdivision wasn't fully developed yet.
Hmm.
So the builders actually were in a situation where they were able to decrease their overall price, but they make all their money on the back end, which is the interest.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so when the builders actually lowered their price, he couldn't compete. If he was to lower it anymore, he would have had to come out of pocket. So that's when I came up with a solution. I gave him a call, offered him some money, teamed up JV with a sub two student,
Hmm.
Diego Salazar,
Yeah.
out of Dallas. He's doing big things out there right
Yeah,
now.
he is.
Yeah. And yeah, we got this under contract, real smooth, built a really great relationship with the seller to this day. To be honest, we're hitting each other up to go get beers and stuff like that.
Oh
It's
man,
about
that's
relationship,
great.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it worked out. I got in for about, I think, 6.5%, 375 rate on a 2021 build. So
That's
uh,
not bad. That's still
yeah,
good. Yeah.
yeah. And then the best thing is the money that the way I actually got that money was I took some equity out of my house
Hmm.
to pay for it.
Yeah.
And basically within what I ended up doing was I turned that house into an Airbnb, and within 3 months I got all that money back.
Oh man, that's really
Yeah.
good. So you were
Yeah.
probably cash flowing like a large amount on that Airbnb, right?
That Airbnb, honestly, I have a property manager now that manages it all for me.
Yeah.
He handed me a contract for $7,000 for 7 months. Yeah,
Oh,
seven
okay.
thousand for 7 months. He was able to find a company that was working around the surrounding area, and they
Hmm.
needed to house four of their employees. So
Oh,
my Airbnb was roughly about 5 miles away,
yeah.
and it, all that criteria, and they were willing to pay that premium. So yeah,
Yeah.
it worked out where I was able to land a 7 month contract.
Man, that's pretty good too. And
Yeah,
7 months is not bad. It gives you like a good amount of time before you have to find like the next contract, I guess, right?
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But yeah, man, it's so far this investment thing's been great, and then seeing how the sub two worked out so well for this particular house. I'm looking to do more of that and a lot more
Yeah.
rentals.
So you haven't had any bad deals yet then, right? Or deals where it didn't work out because a bunch of problems came up or anything like that?
The only one, like I said, the only one would be that first one.
Oh
The
yeah,
unexpected a sewage leak and then dealing with the nature way. I've learned that, you know what, if I was to do it again, I would not do a condo or townhome where I'm
yeah.
just connecting pipes.
Hmm.
Even though it cash flows right now, it's not worth the headache. I
Yeah.
rather do single family. But at the same time, after I see Section 8 versus midterm rentals,
Yeah, midterm
they're
rental pays way more.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard to get away from the midterm rentals.
So is that your focus now? You just want to focus on midterm rentals within like the real estate like industry, or are you still open to like doing birds and Section 8s and anything else?
You know what? I'm always open as long as it makes sense. You
Yeah.
always have to base your numbers off of long-term rentals.
Yeah.
But after that, I definitely my main strategy is always going to be that midterm.
Yeah.
Uh, but to be honest, I want to get into what you do, man. Find that private money partner and then the hard money lender, and then
And you
get
gotta,
a no money
it,
out of pocket.
it's all just relationship building, right?
Yep,
But yeah,
exactly.
like man, midterm rentals is even better for that because the cash flow is so high. Like I
Yeah,
know, like I've met one other person in the sub community. His name is Naveen. I'll introduce you guys together.
yeah,
And man, he not only niched down just on midterm rentals, but he scaled it. Like he has a couple of VAs under him, and you know what I mean. He built everything like a small little system so that he
exactly.
doesn't have to do too much, and he's focusing on just managing the people like that are working for him.
That's
And the
awesome.
deals are coming in, and he's looking at them, analyzing them, and now he's trying to get like a small apartment building and converting that into a midterm rental. And beside, it's
Yeah.
beside a hospital too. I'm like, what?
Yep.
That's it. Like,
Yeah,
it's
man. There's so
crazy.
much possibilities out there
Man,
nowadays.
yeah.
It's
And,
crazy.
and I realized like man, it's just about scaling. Like after you pick the one thing that you like or the thing that you know you like and you want to do, you just have to
Right.
figure out how to scale it,
Yep, I
right?
agree. I
Yeah.
agree. And
So
after that one art,
yeah, pretty much, man. But man, like with midterm rentals, you probably have an easier time finding JVs and finding capital partners than I would doing wraps because it's more popular, especially
right?
right now.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
man, tell me about like how you transition into becoming a transition coordinator because I know that you are a top tier transaction coordinator within the sub two community.
Yeah. So it's funny because then one of my good friends, Diego, the one that helped me,
Yeah,
I saw his transition. We basically have like the same story. We end up we're both realtors, uh,
right.
and then he ended up doing the wholesaling for a little bit, and
Hmm.
then wanted to learn about the way you structure deals and build relationships. So that's why he became a TC. And I was like, dude, that's smart. Let me try some of this. So
Yeah.
one of the things I ended up doing as well, I wanted to really see how other people were structuring their deals.
Hmm.
It's easy to go in and offer, but it's not easy to land those deals. So
Yeah. It's
I
hard
just,
to land the deals. So
yep.
true. Yeah.
So I wanted to see how people were structuring it, how they were getting, how were they were talking to their agents, building those relationships, and be able to learn. And then
Yeah.
the other thing was also be able to build relationships because
Yeah.
as a transaction coordinator, you're dealing with these sellers all the time, and then you're also dealing with buyers. You know,
Hmm.
so in situations where, let's say, a seller doesn't have a buyer, I could JV or I could be that connector and then
Yeah.
present a buyer for them. So it's another opportunity out there to build relationships and make money
Hmm.
on top of just learning everything. So that
Yeah.
was main focus in terms of being a TC. But to be honest, I love being able to just talk to people.
Yeah.
I go in and you and I, we'll hop on the phone, we'll just run
Yeah.
through the numbers and then we'll just talk deals, and it you wouldn't even know it'll be like 40 minutes later.
Yeah, I know. Man, it's so much more fun talking about real estate than anything else.
Yeah,
I just spend
exactly.
hours and hours on it all the time.
Yeah.
Uh, but so I got a question too. So I know you just mentioned that you're also a realtor, right?
Mm.
When in your whole journey did you decide to get your real estate license?
That was way in the beginning.
Okay, so
I
before you got into
Yeah,
real estate, or
before I got into real estate, I thought that that was going to be my gateway in because I've
mhm.
always been taught. My parents are Vietnamese, and
Yeah.
Vietnamese first generation Vietnamese. They're always like, you have to put 20% down. You save all your money. You don't pay that PMI. You don't.
Yeah.
You just gotta save, save, save. So
Yeah.
ingrained in me was, all right, you put 20% down, and how are you gonna put less than 20% down? Okay, you're gonna be a realtor. You're gonna save 3% on that commission.
Okay, I got it now. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I
Right.
was like, you know what? Let's save some money on this 3% commission. Let's get first access on
MLS.
that, and let's go into the expired listings and stuff like that. So that's one of the reasons why I became a realtor. But to be honest, now what I'm thinking about utilizing my real estate license is you're leveraging it with our sub two community and the creative community, where not a lot of realtors know about novations. Not
Oh,
realtors where I know I talk to you, talk
yeah.
about apps,
Yeah, I know. I love
so
Ralph's.
if you're able to be that one go-to realtor within that area that specializes in novations or wraps, and we have a community of over 11,000 sub two students, 100,000 of creative finance
Mm,
students, you can make yourself valuable really, really quick.
quick. Yeah. So explain to me like what a novation is. Just because there's gonna be a lot of people who are watching this who have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, so basically, a novation is, let's say you go in and you see a house on the market that
Mhm.
listed for 150. It needs some work, but through ARV is roughly about 300,000. You would go in and you basically be a partnership. You go in, you get it under contract, you renovate it, and then when you sell the property at that true ARV, you split the profits. What it does is it gets you a higher price, but you're also saving yourself on the one closing cost instead of two.
So okay, but who do you split the profits with?
The seller.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
the seller.
basically, in innovation, you're making an agreement with the seller, and
Correct.
you're splitting like some of the finances or whatever it is that you don't have with the
Correct.
seller, right? Yeah, it's so interesting that you can even do that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
considered that or thought of that before.
And a lot of people don't, there's a lot of investors out there that would just end up buying it, renovating it themselves, like fix and flips, you're getting it on the
Yeah,
cost, you're paying that closing cost,
I
you're fixing
know.
it up, then all of a sudden you're paying another closing cost. But by doing a novation, now you're cutting that cost into one. So it's a
Yeah,
really, really smart thing to do, and like I said, there's a lot of realtors that don't know what novation is, you know.
yeah. It's
Um,
frustrating sometimes when you're talking to a realtor and they have no idea what you're talking about, and they think that you're a scam artist. I'm like, oh my god, like I have to explain everything.
Yeah, I'll tell you this right now. I'm a realtor, and I don't even like talking to realtors.
Yeah. Man, like yeah,
Really.
it is what it is. But I feel like as long as you have like the unicorn realtor who understands you
Yes.
and knows what they're doing, then at least they can go and pitch and vouch
Yeah.
and because they have a license, they have like credibility and trust and so
Yep.
on, right? So it makes everything so much easier. But
Yeah. So that's yeah. But then also, it's one of those things where just having that title of being a realtor, it makes things a lot. You present yourself with some sort of credibility.
yeah.
So it's interesting because um, about I think 3 4 days ago, I was actually on a call with a broker uh,
Hmm.
in the free creative group,
Yeah.
and he was like, "Dude, I just learned about this creative financing thing, but I don't want to use Page's contract. I don't want to use LOI or anything like that, because once you send stuff like that as a broker, man, I look at that, I'm like, man, this ain't nothing,
Oh
this
yeah.
so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leverage my real estate license, my broker license. I'm going to submit TREC forms or actual state forms, and then
Yeah.
attach the sub to addendum to it, and then it
Oh
makes it look even more professional. Realtors are familiar with their state forms, so by doing that, he's able to
yeah.
gain instant credibility, and then they have to present those forms over to their seller. An
Oh.
LOI you don't need to present, because
Oh
that
really?
LOI you don't have
Okay.
to always present. It's not an official contract, but
Oh
with
damn. Okay, I didn't know that. I thought they, regardless whatever you submit to them, they still have to present the offer, but they don't have to if it's an LOI.
yeah,
Jeez.
LOI
Okay.
LOI could be a text. Just
Yeah.
I I was literally on a call right before you, and then there was a sub two student going, "Oh yeah, submit." The realtor was like, "Submit your offer, but make it presentable. Make it something where it's nice enough that I can present to my client. He
Yeah.
doesn't want an LOI on a phone, which I've seen
Yeah.
people do. You know,
Yeah. Okay.
so yeah, if you do it on a state contract, it's definitely something that brings a little bit more credibility. Uh, which I literally just I never really thought of until I met that broker.
Yeah, man, I'm only thinking about it right now, so that's pretty insightful.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, what are your goals going forward? Because you're a real estate agent, but at the same time, you have a small business, right? As
yeah.
because you're invested in real estate, and now you have more insight into midterm rentals, and you do more midterm rentals. So, are you trying to focus more on that and grow that as well, or do you want to do more of the realtor side? Like, what are your goals?
You know what? My number one goal is always to build more in my portfolio. I always
Yeah.
want to have more properties under my belt, and
Hmm.
then honestly learn a little bit more about what you're doing, the PMP, and then leverage it into the midterm rentals. You
Yeah.
know, uh, after that, definitely try to grow my TC business. Hopefully once my kids are a little bit older, get my wife to do some of the TC work, and then it could be like almost like a Munif and
Yeah.
Love, a 1-2
Yeah.
where we're able to do something like that. But definitely looking to grow my portfolio is the number one thing for me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. So then if let's say some sub two students are watching this video right now, what would you want them to reach out to you for?
you know what? Anything, man.
Anything.
I am here for if you're a brand new sub two students, man, I am
Mhm.
here to help provide value anyway. TC, if you need somebody to ask about contract work,
Yeah.
or anything like that, come to me and ask about TCs. If you're curious in terms of what I do with my midterm rentals, who I work with, I've
Yeah.
sent I sent my property managers referral out to a few sub two students already.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, man, if anything that I could provide value with that I have knowledge about, I'm always there to give advice if I'm able to, and if I don't know it, I'm not gonna say I do.
Yeah.
The last thing I would want to do is give you wrong advice.
Yeah. But
So
man, you're very helpful. Even if you don't know, like I know from firsthand experience, guys, Johnson will go out, find somebody that knows the answer, try to connect you or get the answer and give it to you.
yeah, you know,
And I've experienced that a few times with you. So I'm like, man, this guy's so helpful. The
I
most
you know
nicest,
what
helpful guy I know.
it's one of those things where we're here to we have the same goal, we're trying to
Yeah.
do for our families and stuff like that, and I want to make sure that everyone's able to get there where they want to be,
Yeah. I
buying a
know.
Ferrari or buying a house, whatever it is. So
Man, like I live in Toronto right now and I rent, right? But there's a huge housing shortage here. And
yeah.
we have a lot of new people coming into the city. So
Mhm.
the rent goes up like $600 a year now.
Oh wow,
Yeah, and
there's no cap.
no, there's no more rent control for buildings built after 2018 or first occupied after November 2018.
Holy,
Not only, but there's a housing shortage. So like, even if you wanted to buy a house, like a 2,000 square feet house will cost you about a 1.2 million or 1.3 million dollars out in like outside of Toronto. I'm talking like
yeah, the
Ajax,
outskirts,
Whitby.
yeah,
Yeah, the outskirts, like 1.2, 1.3. Like, and if it's a little bit bigger, maybe 1.4, 1.5 million. But the thing is, our property taxes are lower. It's not like Texas
yeah,
where you're paying like 4% of the purchase price for a
yeah.
property tax. Ours is like 1 or 1.5%, but still, man.
That's a
It,
still good chunk.
yeah, so then
Yeah,
like affordability just becomes like tougher and tougher and tougher.
yeah.
But for yeah, I don't know. So yeah, so for me, I'm just trying my best to invest as much as I can outside before I start buying for
Good.
myself as a primary resident. Yeah,
I
and
get it.
we don't really have sub two in Canada either. It's not a thing. They have it in America, but they don't have it in Canada.
Why is that?
I don't know. I looked into it. I talked to a couple lawyers. It's not a thing. You can do seller financing, and you can
Uh-huh.
do BTB deals, and a bunch of there's a bunch of options for you, but it's just not a thing here. Like there is no like keeping the mortgage on the existing seller's name. because
Oh,
when because I'm not sure why, but then like on the deed, like it says like they're the mortgager. So every time the lawyers clear the mortgage before it goes to a new and like a buyer. So then if
oh,
I'm buying a
wow.
house, yeah, it has to get replaced, or I have to assume the mortgage. But there's no way to keep it and take the deed. It's just yeah, that's the thing.
Is the same concept for a car?
Um, I think so. If it's a lease, then you can't like you can do a lease takeover, but then
Uh,
you have to go and qualify for it. It's like assuming the
yes,
mortgage, which is different from like taking over the payments, right?
right.
So because you're still qualifying, it's either that or you're seller financing a car that doesn't have a loan on it.
How about buying it straight from the bank? So let's say you finance it directly from the bank. Is it similar to the state?
That I think for that one you might be able to do it. That
Huh.
one, yeah, you could probably do that. Yeah,
Like,
if you just get a loan from the bank and buy the car, you can definitely seller finance it and sell it out. Yeah, you can do that, but you can't do it with the house. Like I've tried and I've asked and I've talked to multiple lawyers. I'm like, man, it's not a thing here. But you can do it in the States. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No wonder I see so many Canadians coming out to the states for
Man,
these.
it's not only that, but in Canada, we don't have 30-year term mortgages. We don't have 15-year term mortgages. We only have 3 and 5. And in the rare chances, you'll see a 10. So then every 3 years, your mortgage gets renewed, or every 5 years, your mortgage gets renewed. So even if you lock in a low interest rate in like 2021 at 3%, 5 years later, you're getting whatever the current rate is.
Oh man, so it's like an arm. It's
Yeah,
basically an arm.
that's the standard, that's the culture, that's the norm. It there's you know how there's a lot of small banks in America, like a lot. There's no
Yeah.
such thing as a small bank in Canada. There's the big six banks. There's a monopoly.
Oh man,
It's yeah,
it's basically a monopoly then.
yeah, it is. So
Yeah,
it's not just like the banks, like the phone companies have a monopoly here too,
yeah.
right? Like I'll pay like $120 a month here for a phone plan.
So so basically, based off of what you're saying, let's say you're on a fixed income
Yeah,
and you got the house before COVID, then all of a sudden your 3 to 5 years is up. Now you guys are probably going through a
seven
lot of.
percent. Yeah, you're getting 7%, and then you're gonna foreclose, and then the bank will just take the house and it's power of sale, right? The bank will sell
Oh
the house.
man,
That's it.
that is
Yeah.
insane.
Or you're waiting for someone else to come in and give you some cash. But there's a lot slowly coming up power of sale houses. I see them on MLA. You can go to realtor.ca and you'll see them.
I
But
don't doubt it because that 3% that people were getting 2 3 years ago, if it's
gone.
up to about 7 to 8% now,
Yeah.
based off of what you're saying, every 3 to 5 years, man, there's a lot of people that are gonna be earning.
Yeah. I know. So that's a Canadian market for you, though, right? We're just
Yeah,
a different country, different rules, different economy. It's not like
yeah,
the States. But
yeah,
yeah, now you know why I want to do
yeah,
raps. Now you see why I love raps. I can there's
yeah.
30-year term mortgages. What? I
Yeah,
could take over the payments.
I can see how Canadians appreciate it a lot more
A
than what
lot. Yeah.
it's so normal. Like the normal rate is always 30-year terms, you know?
Yeah,
But
and
yeah,
even for rentals, man, like here in Ontario where I live, it's extremely tenant friendly. It's like kind of like being in New York or San Francisco. Like if I want to evict a tenant, it could take 6 months, 6 to 12 months, and if I do the paperwork wrong, it's gonna take even longer. So, and if my mortgage renews and it's been like 5 years, I'm done.
trust me, I know all about that. My parents live out in California, so
Oh man,
we have a holdover tenant right now that we're dealing with.
oh man, that's
Yeah,
tough, man. That's tough. But yeah, man. So I really appreciate the fact that you took the time out of your day to hop on a call with me, man. Thank you so much, man, Johnson. I really do appreciate it.
yeah, man, it was good talking to you, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Awesome.
Enjoyed it.
All right, I'll talk to you soon, man. Take
Yeah.
care.